Well, today marks 2 weeks to midterm election day, but you can vote now. And thousands of North Texans already have. We are getting a look at how many people voted in some of our largest counties on the first day of early voting. Tarrant County saw more than 29,000 voters, Collin nearly 19,000, Denton more than 17,000, and Dallas County more than 32,000 people. Polls open for day 2 this morning, and you have until November 4th to vote early. Now, when I started researching political candidates, I realized positions on the ballot, like agriculture commissioner, deserve more of my attention. The power of the role impacts our daily life considerably and stretches beyond farming and ranching. Our senior political reporter, Jason Whiteley, sat down with me to explain. So then you have the land commissioner and the ag commissioner, which, to the layman may sound sort of similar.
Yeah, the agriculture commissioner, it sounds like, oh, well, they're in charge of farms and things like that. At the end of the day, the agriculture commissioner probably affects your life more than most people think. Yes, they represent farmers out there, but they are also in charge of weights and scales, too. So every time you pump your gas, it's the land commissioner making sure that you get a full gallon for what you pay for. Or if you go buy some avocados or some shrimp at the grocery store, that you're actually getting a pound of that. They make sure that the scales are actually, calibrated correctly. The agriculture commissioner does a number of other things as well too. They're in charge of the school lunch program in the state, essentially feeding millions of school children across Texas every day, and the school breakfast program. There's a lot going on with the agriculture commissioner. They're in charge of making sure that rural hospitals get support and funding. And if you watch the news, Carrie, you've seen that rural hospitals across the state have been closing for a number of reasons, especially since COVID. So the ag commissioner at the end of the day probably touches your life more than most people realize.
So one thing Jason had mentioned when we sat down was really you're looking at not just the position, but what's the job description underneath, and then see if the person who's running for that position, what's their experience? Can they fill that role in the way you think best fits you?
Well, I think that's such great information, because a lot of times you get into the voting booth and you see the position title and you're not really sure, what land commissioner, railroad commissioner, ag commissioner, what goes with that. And when you know it, you can be a more informed voter.
That's why I started digging about it. I said, I don't really know that I know the difference between some of these two. That's not good.
Now we do.